Today we're going to install a side light on the side of the FD model, the 19FD Geo Pro. I saw this done on a Facebook account, and I will link the Facebook account on here. But anyway, the light is a 12-volt light, and it's going to mount back inside of there. Can't really see right now, but it's going to come out, and you can adjust it. And in the Facebook post, they had two of them, but I'm just going to do one for my side. We're going to try that out, and if we really like it, then we'll end up adding one to the other side. But we're going to do this pretty simple on this side. I've already got some 12 volt. 12 volt on this side is tied in with the solar, so it's a direct line into the battery. So that's something to keep in mind, that is a direct line. There's no way to cut that off. But we're just going to drill a hole back in here, and probably two little pilot holes for the mount, and it's going to be a little mount that has a USB built into it as well, and it'll come forward. So here's the light that we got, and I'll list this in the description. It's an actual RV boat LED type light, Ace Goo. It's made in China, of course, but this is the light. Got a flexible part, and it has this base. So we're going to look in here and see how we need to mount this. I think what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to take and I'm going to use this little bit here to make us a pilot hole for the main wiring coming through. And that may even be a little too big. We'll see how that works out. And then this one's just a pilot hole for our actual screws that are going to mount it. So I'll get to looking at this, and we'll talk to you when I get this figured out. So getting this packaging out, it looks like basically I have, if you look at the instructions, there's a mounting plate that takes two screws. The two screws can be done with these little two short ones, which is probably what I'm going to do. And then it has two long ones if you wanted to use this particular setup here. But I'm going to probably get a smaller screw. I'm going to drill than this even, and just do a little bit of a pilot hole and let that thread into that countertop material. And then it has a little Allen screw that just comes loose, and that way you can mount your mounting piece, and then once you're done, you set that in place. Now it does have the main wire coming out of the side. I guess you could mount it that way, but in my case I'm going to drill a hole through the countertop and go down inside of there where I'm going to hook up wires. Not sure if they're going to be long enough to reach where I'm going to go, but we'll have to see how that works out. So the next thing is, while we're working in this front compartment here, and I've already taken a few of the panels out in here. The front panel is completely removed in here, and I actually have a wire I think I can tap into, and we'll look in here a little further once I get some stuff out, and we'll take a look where this is the tabletop right here on the side. So I had to bring the bed down to get a good look at it and drill this properly. So I'm kind of deciding where I want to put it. And if you've seen one of my videos before, to keep these straps from falling behind there, I always have these clips here. So they're affixed there, so I have to stay away from those. But what I've looked at is I'm basically going to mount it closer to this edge. I want it to stick out just a little bit. So this is kind of the general area where I'm looking at. And it has to set in a little bit because there's a lip on the edge of this table. So it has to set in enough that the wires will come through to the right section. So that's kind of where I'm looking at there. And the tricky part now is I've got to put two screws in here, and my clearance is not enough to get the drill in. So I'm going to have to be careful how I put my pilot holes in, and maybe get a stubby screwdriver and put those screws in. So we're going to work on that now. So like I say, it helps if you have your lights on still, so you can get in here and see what you're doing. And I had to end up using this precision screwdriver. These come in a set where you can work on eyeglasses or whatever. This one happens to have a pretty good size, Phillips size, and this is what I've had to use to get in here and tighten these down. So just about got these tightened down, and then I'll put this base on here with a little Allen wrench, and also drill our hole to go through. So there it is, mounted on there. Like I see, I got those 2 screws tied in, and then that base just attaches with a little Allen screw. And I think that's going to work out good for me, because I have a CPAP that sits back kind of in here, and I can actually take this and set it down, and the hose will go over it, or maybe even tuck it up in here tighter, and then the hose will go up underneath of it. And that's the key for me, is I've got this CPAP I've got to worry about over on this side stand. And like I told you in one of my other videos, I am going to plan to build something on this window, kind of as my side board on the side here, and we'll get to that on another project. But I think this is going to work out. Pretty much done inside of here. Now I got to go down inside this compartment and actually do the electrical wiring part. So after pulling out that panel, like I say, everybody also have one other panel, but that's the one I pulled out, and that makes it exposed. And I've done a lot of work in here before, so mine won't look like yours, but I'll show you what you will have. If you haven't done any work in this area, you'll have 2 wires coming in there. You'll have a wire, this little small wire. You don't want to mess with that one. That's just your running lights that go on the outside. Just your regular running lights, so you don't want to tie into that. But you have another wire here, and this one here is the one that goes to your solar on the side. And that is this setup right here for the FD model. So the solar on the side, you have to make sure what your polarity is. And in my case, I've got, there's one that actually shows a red side and a white side. And it looks like the red side is the actual positive. So that's what we need to know. And we're going to have to tie in, here's our wires coming in from above. And we're going to have to tie this into this setup here. And I've got this spliced up pretty bad right now. This work I did over here on this side actually has an inline fuse. So I'm going to have to work out something in this general area over here to tie all this in. And I'm going to either do it with wire nuts, or maybe even if I can find a little box to put that on. But we're going to work out something to tie that in with, because basically we're going to tie in the, I think in this case the black is the positive, so it's going to be kind of confusing, but the black's going to go to the red, white's going to go to the black. So we will see what we can get hooked up with that, and I'll get back with you. So what I did, I cleaned up the wires a little bit. I had a lot of breaks over in here, so I put some new wires in. I tied in, like I showed you before, into that solar on the side. Brought it back out here. I do still have the same lines going into my, I've got actually a USB over here and a cigarette lighter type setup over here. So I already left that alone, left the fuse in line for that particular setup. And then I went ahead and tied everything in here. A little confusing because my red is my hot, and at this point here, this particular light, it says the black is the hot. So I tied it in with the red wires here. White wire is my common or my ground, so it ties in with the black wires here. So there it is. We're gonna go in and test it now. And there it is. It looks like it's working. We just came in and it was actually running as we came in here. So the way this light works is it actually turns as you need it. And it can turn all the way up, around back towards you that way. And you tap it. And it actually has a red mode there, you can see. You just want a little bit of a light. And supposedly it has, looks like 3 levels. 1, 2, and 3. And then the red level. So we will test out the USB function on that now. So we've got our USB in there, and we'll hook it up to our phone. We'll see what we got here. Oh, it's working. So USB is working as well. So that's pretty much all we've got on this video. Got that light in there. I think it's going to work out good for us. And if you have any comments on how I did this, or if you've installed something similar, let me know in the comments, and we'll talk to you later on the next video.